And Steve, last night, Texas Republican Mayra Flores was able to flip a House seat in a special election. The Houston Chronicle reported she'll be the first Mexican-born congresswoman. Significant.
This is extremely significant. Here's the results here. Again, we're talking about South Texas going down to the Rio Grande Valley. Now, this is a congressional district it's a special election. The lines for this district are all going to change at the end of the year. So what she was elected to was a term that will only run for a few months. She's going to run in a different district this November. But this speaks to a story we've been talking about since the 2020 election, specifically along the border, the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas. We have seen county after county, whether it's in this district or some of the districts to the west of it, where voters have moved 10, 20, 30, 40 points away from the Democrats and toward the Republicans. This district that Mayra Flores won last night, Barack Obama got more than 60% of the vote here when he last ran in 2012. Hillary Clinton won this district by 22 points. It's shifted that dramatically. Joe Biden carried it by 4 in 2020, and now in a special election, a Republican candidate has won it outright. We've seen shifts like this throughout South Texas. This, by the way, is the second most heavily Hispanic congressional district in the United States. We've talked about the potential shift among Hispanic voters. We certainly saw it in 2020. The question has been, would we see it in 2022? I think this result we got from Texas 34 last night definitely underscores the Hispanic vote could be up for grabs this fall in ways we haven't seen in a long time.
It's like an 85+% Latino district, right, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's the second highest in the country.
Yeah. Steve Kornacki, thank you so very much. Appreciate it.
Trump's Mar-a-Lago home is raided. Water drought solutions, is there any? School security on the first few days of school. And Congresswoman hits Texas District 34 running. It is Wednesday, August the 10th, 7:03 a.m. My name is Frankie Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. The city is inviting our community out to the sports park today. There will be a highly publicized soccer matchup between Inter Milan and Chivas de Guadalajara, two international recognized teams throughout the world will be playing here at the sports park at 7:30. They will be having shuttle from the Sunrise Mall beginning at 4. Those individuals that do wish to not drive all the way to the sports park, and we do anticipate a large crowd joining. So from 5:30 to 11, there will be a shuttle from the mall to the sports park to give our community that opportunity to enjoy the game. Now, this is going to be very telling because this is going to show us whether we needed an arena or not. So will the city of Brownsville have future events such as these two highly recognized teams playing in the city of Brownsville? Even though it is a women's matchup, it should be very entertaining, and our soccer community here should be very excited to have these two teams in our backyard. And this will be the test. The city of Brownsville is spending lots of money on these two clubs to get them down here for a few days so our community could enjoy this sporting event. So today at 7:30 at the sports park, Inter Milan versus Chivas de Guadalajara, two globally recognized teams will be participating in an exhibition match here at the sports park. We invite the community out for this fun family event. This past week, we started seeing pictures of our loved ones headed off to certain vacations. We have family traveling to Monterrey, and what we have seen from areas in Mexico and really throughout the United States has been that there is a drought. It is sad to report that in Nuevo León, the state of Nuevo León, they're having to ration off the supply of water, and residents go several days without showering, without being able to wash their plates, their food off their plates. But the interesting thing is what is going on here in the state of Texas. The emergency management team from Cameron County, along with our Cameron County judge, did host a town hall, per se, with representatives from irrigation districts and throughout the state of Texas. Individuals came here to talk about the importance of conserving water. We have here the Amistad Falcon Reservoir that has shown a low percentage of water in our area. They calculate it as being as low as 22%, which this should be very alarming because at the end of the day, we do need water supply for our area. Now, many have questioned and said, hey, well, are we having restrictions on everything? And here we have the city of Monterrey, unfortunately, where water right now is a hot commodity. It is probably worth more than gold. And many have argued and stated, well, what is the city of Brownsville doing? Is the city of Brownsville conserving water? The latest businesses that have been popping up in the city have been car washes. And many have questioned and said, well, are the car washes going to be restricted? It is said that I should conserve in my household, that I should limit the times that, I shower, I bathe, I wash the dishes. Maybe for some, who don't enjoy showering and bathing, it's not a problem. But for the most part, it is an essential and very vital to our everyday lives. But what has the city of Brownsville done? Are we setting a restriction on those car washing machine establishments that use a large consumption of water? PUB did post and asking its residents to conserve water. But even though we are trying to conserve water, we are trying to help Monterrey. We are going to be setting 40 pipes with water for Nuevo León because, again, they are dealing with a crisis. So the Cameron County judge, along with the emergency management team, did meet with representatives locally and throughout the state to discuss different ways to try and conserve water as much as possible. But this is an issue that everyone, whether in the state of Texas or down south in Monterrey, are dealing with. So it's going to be interesting to note how we are going to survive and stay afloat. We do need water. It is going to be projected, even though we did talk about the weather, the award-winning segment for Good Morning Brownsville. We should anticipate some water within this coming week, but Larry lie, so I will hold off on that. But we do have a need for water and to conserve water in our area. Now, this past week, the likes of San Benito and Idea Academy did welcome its students on its first day. Teachers today for BISD will be returning back to the classrooms, and we want to wish them a very, very great 22-23 school year. And teachers, nurses, they are the profession that are often overlooked. And during the COVID, how can we forget the sacrifice that many teachers administration did during those troubling times. But the key issue going back to this school year after the tragic events of Uvalde has been school security. What are we going to do here locally to try and prevent a tragedy, what happened in Uvalde, from occurring here in the city of Brownsville? the Texas Department of Public Safety and local law enforcement agencies, they did prepare adequately. At IDEA, they did have 2 marked units on school property, just to give the parents, a peace of mind. As we all know, we all live in a very scary world nowadays. BISD did hold a active shooter training. The likes of our Cameron County District 1 constable and his office, they did participate. And it is very important for our law enforcement officials to have this constant training. One thing we saw from Uvalde was the lack of communication and lack of action on that tragic day. And again, it is easy for one to play Monday morning quarterback and say, haha, this is what I would have done in the line of fire. But it is good for our men and women to be trained on a maybe monthly basis, quarterly basis, just so it could be a natural reaction. Just so these individuals, if something like this would happen, they would spring to action and be able to hopefully prevent any tragedy from occurring. But school safety has been an issue that has troubled many parents. Do I want to send my loved ones? Is this a scary world where, we just don't know what's going to transpire? BISD did have a meeting on mental health and safety. The students will be going back into the brick and mortar schools, classrooms on August 16th. Again, we welcome the teachers that are probably listening to me on the way to work. But nonetheless, public safety has been a very important issue as of late. We have seen how BISD have been holding these active shooter trainings to try and hopefully prevent an incident like this from occurring. So we are doing everything possible here locally to prevent something like this from happening. Now, on the world stage, yesterday we did get information as to the events that led up to former President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, to be raided. The interesting thing here has been the Democratic Party, it has seemed, to have weaponized the FBI and the judicial branch to use it in their favor. What we do know is that there were a search warrant that were after classified documents, and we did see agents that they were taking boxes from former President Trump's property. They did notify the Secret Service, and President Trump was not home during the raid. But it is interesting to note that the issue with all this has been these boxes, and we have a timeline. Back in January, the National Archives, they did run it by the Justice Department to investigate and say, hey, where are these documents missing? We need to retrieve them. And again, these are presidential records, which, according to this law, they are sacred documents that occur during a presidency, must be preserved for the sake of history. Now, we are not here to say, this is a witch hunt. This is going out of line. But we are 90 days away from midterm elections, and President Trump has made it known that he will be announcing for his candidacy for 2024. Now, the question remains: are we a third world country? Do we have checks and balances within the different branches of government to be able to live in a democratic society where we don't have either authoritarianism or dictatorship, where a party uses a branch such as the FBI to weaponize and target one of the highest officials in all the land? Again, this is unprecedented. Why? Because you have a former president's home. You're not talking about his work. You're not talking about a place that he he owns. This is his home where he sleeps, his personal property, his prized possessions are here. Are we going to allow this to happen? That is what many insiders are saying, and they're asking the FBI to bring this information out to light. The reasons for this to happen. And again, it is very unusual for a senior official, such as a former president, to be either charged with any mishandlings of classified information. And there have been some exceptions in history, such as, President Clinton's national advisor, Samuel Berger. But nonetheless, we can both agree that this doesn't usually happen. Now, the reasons behind it, we can probably guess. The Democrats, they don't have nothing to hang their hat on. They fear that in November, they are going to lose many seats, as they will with District 34, which we'll be talking in our next segment. But what can we say about the Democratic Party? Their open borders, they're leaving Afghanistan, inflation. Just recently, they have been wanting to take credit for the decrease in gasoline prices, when here in Brownsville, when it was close to $4.50, saying, oh, well, the president has no power over gas prices. And then what happens whenever gas prices started dipping? We had the likes of Vicente Gonzalez saying, oh, the American force is bringing down this is what led to these decrease in gas prices. Pretty much saying because of us, because of what we're doing, is leading to the decrease in gas prices. Now, where does this lead the Republican Party? Here on Good Morning Brownsville, we did state that we do feel that Governor DeSantis from Florida would be the next vice president under President Trump. But now, after this, and this is different, ladies and gentlemen, from the January 6th committee House hearings. There are two different issues going on with President Trump. So he has a mounting task ahead of him. But this has riled up those Trump faithfuls who are saying, the Democratic Party is using the FBI to weaponize. And if they are able to raid the house of a former president who is held in the highest regards in our nation, if they're able to do that to him, what are they able to do to us common folks? Now, would this lead President Trump to make his presidential announcement that much sooner than expected? Will this lead to DeSantis challenging in the primary former president to see who will be the Republican nominee? Very interesting. We have some very interesting action that's going to be taking place in the very near future. And it will be interesting to note how President Trump will handle this. Again, it will be difficult, and the Democrats are making it very difficult for him to make that announcement. Why? Because he does have the January 6th committee hearings that they've been pressing for the longest time. And the timing of this raid, it just doesn't make sense. Again, is this politically motivated? Was this calculated in a sense to say, hey, look, let's just smear them all the way? Again, you don't really hear of presidents, of high government officials to even be charged or questioned regarding classified information. Now, whether a law was broken, that day will come in court. And we here are no one to state, that anybody is above the law. But nonetheless, is the Democratic Party using this for their benefit? Are we a third world country where if the highest law of the land, which is the presidency, if their home and their privacy, if their home is raided, what should we expect from our own government, who we are friendly, common folks? District 34, recently, we started off the segment, made history. Mayra Flores did become the first Congresswoman, Latina, Republican, nonetheless, to take hold of a seat, to win a seat that for my 35 years in existence on this beautiful world has been controlled by the Democratic Party. Just recently, she did announce that the city of Harlingen will be awarded $5 million. Now, one thing that we should understand is that Miss Flores, Congresswoman Flores, has been in office for 4 months, and these type of issues, these type of grants, it is a process. We can all agree to that. Now, one thing that has been stated on the World Wide Web has been, this Congressman Flores is taking credit for something that she didn't even do. Well, this was an announcement. This was an announcement from the office of District 34, and Congressman Flores was making Harlingen the beneficiary from this bill that was passed. Now, many Democrats are saying, and all of Vicente Gonzalez's group has been saying, "Oh, she can't take ownership. She had nothing to do with that." Well, we'll talk about ownership if that is what the Democrats want to talk about. The important thing is that we finally have and will be having more benefits come down to our local area. More importantly, for the city of Brownsville, Harlingen was just first in line, and we do anticipate this the likes of San Benito, Los Fresnos, and more importantly, the city of Brownsville to get grants in the future. But nonetheless, what we have seen from Congressman Flores is that she has been hitting District 34 running. Since May, what we have seen is that she has been heavily involved in District 34. Y'all are gonna hate me on live TV. It's asking me to charge my laptop. Live TV. 1 second. Gotta love live TV. But nonetheless, Congressman Flores has hit District 34 running. Now, many individuals have stated, she can't take ownership. This is something that she wasn't a part of. She didn't create. She didn't work on it. Okay, you want to talk about ownership? Let's talk about ownership. What has been transpiring as of late? Do we have jobs being created? We have been monitoring how the Democratic Party has been at odds. Will Joe Biden announce for 2024? Are we going to see Peter Buttigieg or possibly Vice President Kamala Harris take that spot? Again, do we have a strong president? And going back to former President Trump's raid at Mar-a-Lago, was that done purposely? Why? Because the Democrats are fearing that they will lose the midterm elections come November, and also that they fear that they will be losing the presidency next November in 2024. What have we seen from this administration? Well, we still have open borders. It is sad to report that the vice president, who was named the border czar by President Biden, has not even come to the border. Immigration, as we all know, was a sticking point and a platform for President Biden's administration. Have we seen them here on the border? Vice President Kamala Harris only went to El Paso for political reasons, of course, to take pictures, a photo op with Beto Francis O'Rourke. But nonetheless, what have we seen from this administration? Have we seen that they have been pressing the issue of wanting to address immigration to try and fix it? No, we are getting, a lot more traffic. We do have open borders compared to previous administration. Now, let's take ownership. The Democrats want to take ownership. Let's do so. Now, what they fear, ladies and gentlemen, what they fear is how the Hispanic population, the Latinos, are starting to realize and say, I was taught that the understanding that since I'm a Mexican, I should vote as a Democrat. Why? Because it is a party of the people. What do we have seen as of late? Well, we have seen that many Hispanics, many Latinos are being disenfranchised with President Biden and his administration. And what we have seen from South Texas, Cameron County, more importantly, is that we want change, that the Democrats have used this position in our local area for their own benefit. And they have used us and manipulated us with the idea of, you're Mexican, you should vote Democrat. And since I've been born, the Democrats have reigned supreme in our area. But again, with great news that Congressman Flores brought to our area, we have individuals questioning, what role did you have? Again, we have to respect the office, which is the Congresswoman, District 34, in which she represents. Now, the Democrats say that she can't take ownership for making the announcement to the residents of Harlingen. Okay, let's talk about ownership again. What do we have here in South Texas? And whenever I talk about South Texas, I talk about Brownsville. Why? Because while we are supportive of Harlingen, San Benito, Los Fresnos, we always want to know, well, what is in it for Brownsville? I want my community to flourish. I want my community to have these opportunities that we have. But nonetheless, if we talk about what has been happening in these last, and I like to talk about what I know, because again, I worked for Cameron County. I was in the courthouse every day, and every day I heard hearsay, hearsay, hearsay. And the judge would say, talk about what you know. So Frankie, tell me about what you know. Well, for the 35 years in existence here locally, Democrats have reigned supreme. What have we have seen from our local elected officials? Have they provided us opportunity? Do we have here an area where our future generations could flourish and have jobs and live a decent living and make a good wage for themselves? Let's take a look at the 2011 census. The Texas Monthly did report that Brownsville and McAllen, they do occupy the number 1 and 2 slots on the data for being one of the poorest cities in America. Again, what has transpired from 2011? And the U.S. Census, we all know, is every decade. They get the numbers. They see population growth, job opportunity. People are leaving. Are people staying? Is there employment? Is there room? Is there economic development in that area? What have we seen since we were named number 1 and number 2 poorest areas in our poorest cities in America? You can say, oh, well, look at SpaceX. SpaceX is the exception. We didn't do anything. These politicos didn't do anything. Here geographically, Boca Chica, we do have the benefit of being geographically well situated for space exploration. But nonetheless, besides SpaceX, what manufacturing jobs do we have? What steel plants do we have? Have we been growing where we're creating jobs for our residents? As we all know, many individuals, once they graduate, they never come back. Why? They go to cities such as Corpus, McAllen, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Austin for opportunity. And what do we have here locally? We have this, ladies and gentlemen. We have a welding position for $12. A skill that was once in demand and was paying over $20 is now an abysmal $12. Individuals could go to McDonald's and get better employment. And everything that we've been hearing from the Democrats has been, you need to vote blue. Why? Because blue is the party of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to be selfish with our relationships with our politicos. If we're going to elect an individual, we need to scrutinize them and say, hey, what have you done for me lately? And that is corporate America. We were fortunate enough to work at corporate America, and corporate America doesn't care how Frankie feels, if he's sad, if he's going through certain issues in life. All they ask for is, Show me your numbers. I work with insurance. Talk to. How many plans have you sold? How many people have you enrolled? How many phone calls have you done? They want to know numbers. Why? Because it is important for them. Is Frankie producing on a quarterly basis, on a daily basis? And guess what happens if Frankie does not produce? If I say, you know what? I don't got nothing for you. You think corporate America is going to say, Frankie, here's a raise. Frankie, here's four more years of employment. Just because. Don't worry about your numbers. Here in South Texas, we have been trained to say, you're a Mexican, you are going to vote Democrat. And what we saw from this previous election of Congresswoman Flores and District 34 has been that individuals now, after that win, that momentous win, that historic win, many individuals are now proud to be called the R word. I'm a Republican, I'm red, and I'm proud. Where before, individuals will say, I'm a Republican. Oh, you're the worst. How could you? Haven't you realized that? Haven't you sensed that? That individuals are now having a more sense of pride of saying, you know what? We need change. Again, we should hold our elected officials accountable. They want Mayra Flores to not take credit for this. Well, what have they done? What has the Democratic Party done in our local area? And again, I'm only going to talk about what I know. For the past 35 years, we have not brought economic opportunity to our area. It is unfortunate that we, have managed to stay poor and stagnant without any silver lining in sight. Now, to my community, don't you want your loved ones to have the ability, the opportunity to make a decent wage? The idea is that you have to leave the valley. Why? Because we have jobs that are paying $12 for skilled labor. What have the Democrats done in our local area, ladies and gentlemen? We should hold our politicals, our party, the Democratic Party, and hold their feet to the fire. What have they done? We live in a what have you done for me lately type of world. And it seems as if the Democratic Party is having a daunting task. Why? Because they see and they hear of individuals who are tired of seeing only the politicals, only those that get contracts, only in those circles who are benefiting from this. Do we have, again, let's talk about the 2011 U.S. Census. Have we seen an increase in production plants? Have we seen jobs in our local area? Have we seen economic development in our backyard? Absolutely not. And what do we have? We have Democrats saying, oh, well, you need to vote for me because you're a Mexican and I'm Democrat and I'm for the party. The Democratic Party has not been a party of the people for South Texas. The politicals in power have been a party, not for the people, but for themselves. So how will you be voting this November? It's important for us to hold our elected officials accountable and say, what have you done for me lately? The Democratic Party has not brought any opportunity, any jobs in our local area. And what we have here is that the likes of a Latina is living rent-free in the Democrats' minds. Why? Because they know what's coming. It was done once in this previous election and is going to be done again in November. Let's talk track record. They don't want Congressman Flores to take ownership of this great announcement of over $5 million that was awarded to the city of Harlingen, which we're in support of, and we will be expecting some grants to be thrown our way for the betterment of our schools, our community, and our youth, more importantly. But nonetheless, Vicente Gonzalez, he voted against the House bill that would ban semi-automatic weapons. You want to talk about track record? Let's talk about track record. Here we have a congresswoman that has been in office for 4 months, and she's being targeted for track record. Well, let's talk about the Democratic Party track record. Vicente Gonzalez, hey, He voted against a bill that would ban semi-automatic weapons. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be swayed by what you hear. Drive around town. Drive around the city of Brownsville. And if you let me, pick me up, or I'll pick you up. Well, now that gas is expensive, you could gas is affordable. You can pick me up. Let's drive around town. Let's drive around the city of Brownsville, and we could pinpoint all these manufacturing jobs. I want to tell my friends and family, this is what we have here. This job pays $20. This job pays $22. This job is great because they're offering a $30 salary per hour. Do we have that here in the city of Brownsville? The 2011 census stated that Brownsville and McAllen were number 1 and 2 poorest cities in the U.S. What have we seen for 10 years? Have we seen economic development? Have we seen opportunity here in a local area? Absolutely not. Again, what have the Democrats who have reigned supreme in South Texas, what have they brought to our local area? Can we hang our hat on and say, hey, look at the great things that are happening in South Texas? Absolutely not. My people are still poor. My people still do not have opportunity. My people still are having to deal with the increase of light, low wages, rent is through the roof. But the Democrats want you to think, oh, don't listen to that. I promise you, I'm the best candidate because I'm going to give you my very best. Have we seen the very best, ladies and gentlemen, from our Democratic Party? Do we have economic development? Do we have economic opportunity for our loved ones? The only thing we have been seeing from our politicos that represent here South Texas, that represent Cameron County, has been that they themselves have only been benefiting from it, while District 34, South Texas, has not been able to have a fighting chance because we have positions of welders of being $12. McDonald's pays more, and this is a skilled labor that was once paying over $20. So Mayra Flores did make the great announcement. Congressman Mayra Flores did make the great announcement that the city of Harlingen was awarded $5 million. Now, many people have questioned and said, oh, she can't take ownership of this. Okay, you want to talk about ownership, Democrats? Let's talk about ownership. What has transpired in South Texas for the past 35 years? I'm sad to report that we have no growth, that we are still poor, but yet the Democrats want you to say, vote for me. It's gonna be great, but hey, you got to vote for me. What have we done for our people lately? Again, we should hold our local elected officials' feet to the fire and say, what have you done for me lately? Drive around town. Mr. Perez, let's drive around town. Let's go on the bus. Let's go on the bus. Let's use the metro and drive around town and see economic development. And if there is economic development, hey, I'll eat my words. I'll come on live and I'll say I'm sorry. But you and I know that there is no opportunity here in our local area. But the Democrats, they want you to oversee that. It's like that relationship with that boyfriend and that girlfriend. And the guy says, babe, I love you, babe. I love you, babe. You know I love you, right, babe? But the guy is a deadbeat. The guy does not give her gifts, does not take her flowers, does not take her out to eat, does not provide a home and shelter for her, but says, hey, babe, I'm your guy, right? Nambe, sácate de aquí. Bueno pa nada. We should treat our local elected officials the way corporate America treats its employees. What have you done for me lately? It's a numbers game. Do we have jobs? Do we have economic opportunity in our local area? I invite my community to have an open mind this coming November. We need new ideas. We need new direction for South Texas. I will only talk about what I know. And for the past 35 years of Frankie Olivo's existence, all what he has seen has been that his people have stayed poor, that his people don't have the opportunity to survive in this world. I invite my community to have an open mind this November and vote for Mayra Flores. Why? Because we need change in South Texas. For far too long, the Democrats have used their party to take advantage of us Mexicans, of us poor people. And they want to talk about racism. They want to talk about everything. They have been weaponizing and using us to their advantage. What have we gotten from the relationship? Ni fu, ni fa. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to start asking questions and saying, ya basta. I've had it. No more. We should be selfish whenever we go out to vote for these individuals. What have you done for me lately, Democrats? You don't want Congresswoman Flores to take ownership of this because she wasn't a part of this. Well, let's talk ownership because it is important that the Democrats have not produced for our local area. And that, my friends, is the rest of the story. Water solutions. It seems as if not only Texas, the United States, but Monterrey is suffering from the lack of water. Here, the Amistad, the Falcon reservoir are down to 22%, if I'm not mistaken. And we showed pictures in the previous segments of how the dam is dry and is causing many to be worried about this. But again, we have the city of Brownsville sending 40 pipes full of water to Monterrey. Here, PUB is asking for the city to conserve water while we have car washes left and right popping up in the city, and they have no restrictions, unfortunately. School security on the first days. Teachers, welcome back to this brand new school year. We appreciate you. Hope you guys have a great year. But we have seen a change in mindset. The Texas DPS, the public safety officials, along with local law enforcement and BISD security, here locally at IDEA and at BISD, will be seeing a more law enforcement presence in our schools. Again, we did have the tragic event at Uvalde, and it is important for us to have peace of mind whenever we are dropping off our loved ones, to know that they are safe in the hands of their schools. And Trump's home is raided. Are the Democrats weaponizing the FBI and are using this to their advantage? The Democrats, they don't have anything to hang their hat on. They're lacking in immigration. We still have open borders, which the vice president, being the border czar, has done absolutely nothing in regards to this. The way they left Afghanistan did make them seem weak in the eyes of the world. Inflation is through the roof. Rent is going up. Gasoline prices is barely coming down. But what we have seen is absolutely nothing from the Democrats. Are they using President Trump to try and hurt his campaign that we'll be announcing for it? It seems that way. And Congresswoman Mayra Flores hits District 34 running with the recent announcement of Harlingen being awarded $5 million. Many people were in uproar and stating that she cannot take ownership of this announcement, of this grant, because it was the previous administration. Well, we will state that we must respect the office of Congresswoman for District 34, because her office, whether that was the previous administration or not, is making the announcement that Harlingen will be awarded the $5 million. But if the Democrats want to take ownership for something, let's talk about ownership. The 2011 census stated that McAllen and Brownsville is number 1 and 2 for being one of the poorest cities in all of the United States. What have we seen from 10 years till today? Have we seen economic opportunity in the city of Brownsville? Do we have thriving jobs that are paying $15, $20? All we have seen is welding positions for $12. Again, do not be swayed by what you hear. We have to be selfish with our vote. This is a personal relationship, and this affects your lives and your pockets. And when it affects our pockets, when it affects our livelihood, that is when it is important. The Democrats, and I'll talk about what I know, for the past 35 years, have used and abused us and have remained, and we Mexicans, we citizens of Brownsville, have stayed stagnant, have stayed poor. We have no jobs. But here we have the Democrats wanting and begging for your vote and saying, hey, give me 4 more years. But it's that like that toxic relationship. What have you done for me lately? It is Wednesday, August the 10th, 7:45 a.m. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Hope to see you here on Friday. God bless.